What's going on? What's going on? We are happy to be here today. Once again, we're just having a candid conversation today. We're going to talk about religion and spirituality. Once again, my name is Wale Ade. I'm a pastor in the Maryland area, and I'm just kind of wanting to have this conversation with us to kind of just get to the nitty and the gritty of this thing we call religion or spirituality. If you haven't known, we had a live last week where we talked about questions and answers of Adventism. So I am an Adventist pastor once again. I pastor in the Baltimore County area. And so we had a great conversation. And so one of the things that came out of that conversation was people wanted to have a discussion about religion and spirituality. And so just to kind of give a foundation for this talk, there was a time, in fact, the past few years, there's people that I know that have kind of gotten disenchanted with the church. They kind of wanted to, kind of do their own thing. They weren't feeling like they were being connected to the Creator in the churches that they were in. And so, I had a lot of conversations with different people, and I started to see and hear different perspectives. And so I kind of just want to address those perspectives here on this live candid conversation. And so I just encourage everybody, that is in the chat, just go ahead, and if you can hear me clearly, put a thumbs up. I want to keep the chat active because this is all about you guys, right? I want you guys to go ahead and ask questions. I want you guys to join the conversation. I want you guys to be a part of this because it's important that we have a conversation. It's not just me talking at you, but it's us talking together. And so I'm just going to give it a couple more minutes, and then I'll begin with the first comment and question that I had. And so just to give you a background story, I did kind of throw something out there on Facebook, I know no one's still on there, that's what I hear, but on Instagram and different places like that. And even some text with some friends. And so they kind of gave me some feedback on their view of religion and their view of spirituality. And so we're just going to kind of pull those things up and discuss. And so I'll go ahead and pull up the first comment. And so as I was going through, one of the things that I was doing, and this is my post that you can see on the screen, I was kind of trying to just get answers from people. And so the question that I asked was, are you over religion and why? Are you over religion and why? And so the answer that I got here says that spirituality is not one size fits all. It's about a personal connection with divinity. And so as I read that, I kind of connected to that because, I do think that, and so let me start off by saying, I'm a pastor, so I do believe to some degree, with religion. But as far as this question is concerned, one of the things that I love, and I actually said about the Bible, is that a lot of people came from a lot of different backgrounds. A lot of people were chosen by God in the Bible, and they came on different paths, but they all ended up in a relationship with God. And so one of the things that I really, kind of just want to stress is that there is no one way a relationship with God should look like. So once again, there is no one way that a relationship with God should look like. As a matter of fact, because, we all have various experiences. We all have various ways of how God is kind of leading us. And so, one way is not the only way in order for us to have a path with God. And so I do think that spirituality is not a one size fits all type of thing. It's about a personal connection with divinity. So I agree with that. Also, okay, so the same question happened here again. Are you over religion and why? And so this person just simply said no. So they're not over religion at all. The next question. So somebody answered, are you over religion and why? And their answer was, spirituality is not one size fits all. It's about a personal connection with divinity. And so let me say that again. It says spirituality is not a one size fit all. It's about a personal connection with divinity. So we kind of already answered that. Are you over religion and why? This person says yes. And they didn't explain why. They just said yes. So I guess they're really over religion. Let's see. All right, the next person, it says, are you over religion and why? And they put, I've transcended it. I've transcended it. So no longer are they're saying they're being held down by religion, but they've transcended it. And I wish they would be able to expound on that, because I want to hear what that sounds like, to transcend religion. And so if you know what that sounds like, please put that in the comments so that I can see what that looks like, because I'm still trying to figure out exactly what that looks like, to transcend it. All right, let's go to the next question, or the next comment. The next comment says, I still have my faith, but the institution of religion has been so adulterated and corrupted. And so I still have my faith, but the institution of religion has been adulterated and corrupted. And basically, I will say that, as you can see in the news, as you see in different scandals that have happened, especially, I'm only talking from the Christian context, the Christian faith. There are times where we experience the news stories of, people going out for their own gain, or, people having so many, relationships outside of their marriages, or, different things like that, where you just start to question, like, is religion really something that I want to be a part of, when it seems like the people that are there or that are leading out, are corrupted. And so I just think that, we kind of got to go through and not really take what other people are doing, but look at the context of what is being said and seeing if it lines up. But I understand completely if you get thrown off by the behaviors of people who profess to be practicing those religions. And so I still have my faith, but the institution of religion has been so adulterated and corrupted. And so let me know what you think in the comments. Do you think that religion has been corrupted? Do you think that people have gotten in there and kind of just messed it up? I want to hear more from you. Or do you have that same view, or do you think something differently? And so why are you done with religion? That's one of the answers I got. Another answer I got, why are you done with religion? It says, growing up, it felt more like control, tradition, and fear than love and community. And so this is a big thing here, because a lot of times I tell people, especially in the church, in my churches, in my setting, that, the way you treat people matters most. So let me say that again. The way you treat people matters most. In fact, the Bible says, by this shall all men know that you're my disciples, by the love you have for one another. And so when people don't feel that love, when people feel like you're being controlled, when people feel like, it's all about tradition and putting fear on people, then there's an issue, right? Because those things don't sound like the God of the Bible. Those things actually sound like the Satan of the Bible. And so we got to kind of readjust and recalibrate, what we're doing, to make sure that we're not trying to control people. We're not trying to make them, subject them to our traditions, and that we're not trying to, instill fear in them so that they stay. But that's not the spirit that the God I serve comes out of. And so what do you think? Do you think religion has that effect? Do you think that, it's controlling, it's full of traditions, and it's fear-mongering? Let me know in the comments, because I want to hear from you and see what you think. And so the next comment that I got as I was asking this on social media is, why are you done with religion, was the question. And so this person said that they're not done, but religion has become more of rules and regulations and not the gospel. So this has become more of rules and regulations and not the gospel. And so what I kind of think about when I hear this is, depending on your denomination in the Christian faith, right? There's doctrines that they teach you. This is their Bible teaching. This is saying that, what they pull from the Bible is what's correct and what's right. And so I think this person is saying that it's become more rule based than relationship based, right? And what we know about Christ in the Bible is that he went around actually building relationships with people. He got to know people. He cared about people. He was compassionate towards people. And so what they're saying is that now it doesn't feel that way. It feels like rules and regulations. And for anyone that doesn't know, there's a group in the Bible, actually a few groups, whether it's the Pharisees or the Sadducees or the doctors of the law. And these type of people were really rule-based. They were really about regulations and doing things. And as the last question said, it was actually a form of control. And so we just got to be careful to make sure that we're not following in these same footsteps and that we're being more about the gospel, more about compassion, more about spreading love than we are about our rules and regulations. And so let me know in the comments, are you more religious? Are you more spiritual? Are you somewhere in between? Have you given up on religion? Join us in the conversation. We want to hear from you as well. And so this is one of the things that came up also, one of the answers. So I asked, why are you done with religion? And it says, the church does not prioritize my spiritual growth. They prioritize money. So once again, it says the church does not prioritize my spiritual growth. They prioritize money. And so do you all feel like this? Is that something that hits you? Do you resonate with that? As a matter of fact, I remember I did feel like this at one point. I felt like when I was at church, it seemed like they kept trying to pull money from poor people, right? People that were barely trying to get keep their lights on, people that are barely, making it with their everyday bills. But it was like, a pull for more money. And so I can see how somebody can come up with that type of response because it does seem like, and sometimes as we were talking about before, there are some corrupt places where they are just trying to get money and they're not really worried about the people. And unfortunately, we have churches like that. And so that can be something that some of us have experienced where it's more about money than it is about spiritual growth. And so I'm just curious, are you able to grow in your church? Do you feel like there's more money, that people are more focused on money and what they can get as far as what they can give you and what value they can build to your life? Let me know in the comments what you think. All right, so the next one says, are you done with religion? Once again, that was the question. And somebody just told me it doesn't work, right? Religion helps you perform. The spirit helps you transform. And I kind of like the way that they put this because, in their belief system, it says that religion is all about what I used to call behavior modification, right? And so we want people to look a certain type of way. We want people to act a certain type of way. We want people to do a certain type of, of things that we want them to do based on what we say the Bible is saying to them. And so we are all about them looking good on the outside, but we're not necessarily sometimes concerned with the inside. And that's what this person is saying. But if you have the Spirit, if you have the Holy Spirit, then that actually helps you to transform so that you're able to actually be and not do. Because I think what they're saying is that a lot of people are doing, but there's not a lot of people that are actually being. And so that is actually hypocrisy. If you're doing and your being doesn't line up, if it doesn't come together, then it could be a little bit of hypocrisy. And so I don't know if you've experienced hypocrisy in the church. I know I have. Hypocrisy is in a lot of places, but it's also in the church, unfortunately. Just let me know in the comments. So I just want to pause here and just say, thank you all for joining in. I see people are coming in. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share. This will help the channel because I want to do more content that's focused on what your needs are as it pertains to everything religion, as it pertains to everything with the church. Because I'm a pastor, there's a lot of questions that people tell me that they're happy that I'm answering, because when they go to their church or they go to their leaders, that instead of answering their questions, they seem to be shamed, they seem to be put down. And so any questions that you may have, go ahead and put that in the chat as we're going through, and I'll be trying to answer them as much as I can. So we're talking about religion versus spirituality. And so these are some of the questions that have come up. And so, why are you done with religion was the question. This person says, I'm done with religion. I'm done with religion on and off. I guess it's in and of itself. It's not a bad thing. The church has taken religion and convoluted it. So actually, I can bang with this point of view, because I think what I really like about it is that it's saying that religion by itself is not a bad thing, but it's just that the people that are practicing religion have kind of muddied the waters. And so I don't know, what do y'all think? Do you think that, the people in the church have messed up religion, or do you just think religion just needs to be thrown in the trash altogether? Do you think that it's just important for you to have a spiritual connection with God and that's it? There's no need for any religious institutions or religious structures. Just let me know in the comments what you think, because we want to have a conversation and we want you to join the dialogue as well. And so, are you done? Why are you done with religion? Because I now have a relationship. Wow. And so let me just say I can really resonate with this point, because I did feel like as I grew up in the church that I was kind of just going through the motions. And I don't know about if you've ever felt like that, where you're just coming to church, you're not really interested, you're not really in tune, you're probably falling asleep during the sermon. It's just not, hitting you in the place that you or would like it to hit. That was kind of my experience at first. And so, I didn't feel like, religion was I really had my own religion. But as I've said in the past, as I matriculated, right, as I grew up, I realized I couldn't have a relationship with God through my parents, but I had to have a relationship with God on my own. And I did find out that I could have a relationship with God, as a matter of fact, through reading his word. And I've said it in the last live stream, but I realized that the God of the Bible was different from the God that I saw in the church. And so one of the things that I loved is that I had built a relationship with God with my own study, with my own spending time with him. And so I just encourage you, if you have not felt a relationship with God in the church that you're in, just go, try reading the Bible on your own, see what the Holy Spirit gives to you, and maybe he'll lead you to the right community so that you're able to actually experience that relationship and that growth. And so thank you for that. So the next, so these are the text messages. So that the first part was my actual, the post I did on social media. But this is now the text messages that I received, personally, as I was sending out this question. I wanted to hear from people, and this is kind of what they brought to my attention. And so this person said, I'm also split. I feel that growing up SDA, so for anyone that doesn't know, Seventh-day Adventist, I could see religion and law being practiced more than spirituality. In my own walk, I'm more spiritual than religious, but I feel there are value in both, just knowing that religion should align principles based off what someone believes and should not be held higher than the spiritual connection with God. And so I'm just going to stop right there. So what I'm hearing them say is that, the spiritual connection is important, but the fact of the matter is sometimes we care more about the religious dogma than we do about the spiritual connection. The religious dogma should never be of a higher priority than our actual spiritual connection with God. And so he says, I think the SDA, once again, Seventh-day Adventist Church beliefs are the most aligned with the Bible as why I still value the idea of religion, but I'm open to hearing others. I understand that religion is man-made. There will be no religion in heaven, and Jesus didn't preach a religion, but there was a law. I believe it was John who stated and affirmed that Christ's coming in biblical times did not abolish the law, but to fulfill. I think those who believe religion leads to spirituality miss the message and can come off looking very rigid and traditional. And so here we have somebody who basically sharing their heart, basically sharing their position, where they feel like we're coming off, those who believe that, they're religious, they're coming off very rigid and traditional, that they're not really having the relationship that they would like, and that if we're putting these things, these religious practices, higher than the things of, kind of working with our spiritual connection, our personal connection with God, then we've completely missed the point. Because doctrine and dogma will not save you. Doctrine and dogma will not, transform you. It's the actual relationship that will actually do that. And so, I can't even argue with that. I think that, as the person said, there are reasons why there's doctrine. Doctrine is supposed to be biblical teaching. And so God wants us to know things and to operate in a certain type of way for a reason. But at the same time, if we are just doing things without being, once again, then we've missed the mark. And so great comment. And so this person says, I'm done with religion. It was created to control societies and seize freedom. Europeans use religion to conquer and control. The church is a business and only wants to capitalize. There have been multiple stories of existence of Jesus Christ extremely similar to the one we all know today. Hundreds of years before Christ, we all know, I praise the Most High Creator. I don't know what this being looks like, but I am in tune spiritually with this being. I thank the Most High Creator and the Mother Earth for all we have. Europeans have made everyone think God is white. People are brainwashed, and certain churches help to do that 100%. The more you dive into history, the more you'll uncover. The Ten Commandments were taken from the 42 Laws of Mott, ancient Egypt, aka Kemet. And so I have been familiar with coming across people who believe in Kemetology. And so Kemet was another name for basically what we know as Egypt. And so they had some religious beliefs, or let me say some beliefs that they had. And so there's a lot of people that do believe in the things of Kemet and Kemetology. And so, but the thing about it is, if I say that, and I think in my church, people don't even know what I'm talking about, right? And I think that's what, some of the issue is that sometimes in church we're so insulated, sometimes we're so detached that we don't even have interaction with people that are not in our circles, right? So we don't even know how to have conversations like this, or we don't even know how to be knowledgeable in what people are talking about, because we're scared of going outside and listening to somebody else, or we're scared of hearing another point of view. And one of the things I just want to say is, once again, I said it in my last stream, if we believe that the gospel is powerful, if we believe that God is all, what they say, omnipotent, if he's omniscient, if he's omnipresent, if we believe that he's just a supreme being and this is the God we serve, I just don't understand why we're scared to have some difficult conversations. Because if the gospel we preach is powerful, then there's no reason why we should be running whenever somebody brings an opposite or an opposing point of view. And so I just want to encourage us, to dig deeper in what we believe, to make sure we really believe it, so that when questions like this or comments like this come in, that we're not thrown off, that we're not shaming people, that we're not telling people that they're going to hell, but that we're actually helping engaging these conversations so that we can kind of come to a better understanding of each other. And so let me know what you think about religion, or are you religious? Are you spiritual? Put that in the comment below and let me see what you say. Next we have, I think that it's man-made. It naturally has flaws. So we're talking about religion here. Some people don't want to acknowledge that it can't be flawed. In my opinion, It hurts its credibility, especially when people are not open to discussion. Imagine if your neighbors are all different of all different religions. Would that be a direct indication of how successor happy their kids will become, or if their marriage works? I think once we can admit that our religion is linked to people like Derwin Foods are, then we can be more understanding, less ridiculed for coming off cultish. And so I think what this person is trying to say is, there are places where there's a lot of man-made structures in our religion, right? And if we don't acknowledge that, then if we make the whole structure holy, or if we say the whole thing came from God, then I think that we're not giving credibility to the fact that there are some things that we just made within the structure of religion, right? And so I'll give you an example. Nowhere in the Bible does it tell you how your worship service should actually be like, right? But we kind of made, in a lot of churches, we make a liturgy or we make an order of service, and we don't want to stray from that, right? We don't want to change it. We don't want to tweak it. And we make now that order of service that we've created, we make that holy, right? And so as soon as you try to change that or you try to do something different, then people get upset. And so we got to acknowledge that certain things within our systems, within our religions, they are man-made. Not everything came from God. And so we got to make sure we differentiate those things from the things that really matter. And so also what somebody else wrote to me is, for me, I can't throw out the whole thing. So they still want to keep some religion. They can't throw it all out. Wherever men are, there's going to be some evil. So I pick and choose the parts that I think are reflective of God. At my lowest, God was there, so I'm going to rock with him. Sometimes that's the church, and sometimes that's at church, and sometimes it's not. I'm religious and spiritual in the way that makes sense for me. And so this person doesn't see that you have to be one or the other, but that you can actually be both. And so they believe that the spiritual connection is definitely part of their life, and then also the religious connection is as well. And so thank you so much for sharing that. All right, so I got a comment here. And it says, "Amen. There is no God-ordained order of service." So somebody felt me out there that, God didn't come down and tell us exactly how, our service should be, or didn't come and dictate exactly how things were supposed to be. It's kind of something that we just do, right? It's kind of something that we feel based on the principles that we learn from the Bible that we feel is necessary for our service. But we should never get to the point where we think that the things we created are actually holy, right? The only person that can create and that can be holy is God. And so let's go to the next question. All right, let's see. So that's what we just came from. So the next person says, so this is something I got also in the text. If you see it in this form, I probably had to edit it because we are a family-friendly show. And so I probably had to, do some tweaks. But this says, same stuff every week. The routine and the traditions eventually reach a plateau. So most people just do it out of tradition and boredom. And so I'm wondering, are you somebody that kind of just does it out of tradition and boredom? Are you somebody that just kind of goes to church just because you may feel it's the right thing to do? Let me know in the comments. Let me know how you feel about this comment. That do you feel like your church is mundane? Do you think it's the same thing week after week after week, and that it's really pointless to this point where it's just now boring? Because I've heard plenty of times that people say that church service is boring, right? And so, what would you like to see out of your church service? Let me know in the comments what you think about that. All right, somebody else wrote that is there another level to it, or are the milestones just to get saved, bring others and pray about your problems, and give thanks when things are good? And so this person is definitely searching for more. Because these things that they listed aren't really scratching their itch. It's not really fulfilling them. And so I'm just curious on what would actually be something that they could subscribe to, something that they feel like will be valuable to them. And so let me know in the comments, actually, as a matter of fact, like, what do you think would be valuable to you at a church, right? What do you think is something that would really help you to be able to grow, in your spiritual walk? All right, so this person said it's like watching the same episode every time, and so I guess they're really done with church because they feel like you just go there and it's mundane, it's the same thing over and over and over and over again. And so I hope that's not your church. And I hope if you're at a church, if you're a leader, if you're watching this, I really want you to take note of what these people are saying, because these are people that probably won't say it to you, or maybe they have tried to say it to you and they just didn't feel like you were open to their suggestion, you weren't open to their input. And so here we are putting it right in front of your face. And so make sure that you take note of this and see what you can do in order to make some changes. And so this is back to Adventism. So I'm going to kind of just explain what the GC is. So where did all my tithe and offering go? Is anybody holding the GC accountable? Whew, yikes. So I've heard this a lot. People want to know where their tithe and offering goes. And so for anyone that doesn't know, the Adventist system, it actually it has different layers to it, right? So I know other churches where all of the money, the tithes and the offerings, they stay in the local church. That's not so with Adventists, because Adventists consider ourselves a worldwide denomination. And so the money kind of goes up the chain, the tithe money, to help support the mission worldwide. And so the only money that stays inside of the church is the offering. And oftentimes the offering is not as much as the tithe, so the local churches have a little bit more issue when it comes to doing some programs. And so where I don't work for the GC, so I can't tell you exactly where all of the money goes, but just know that it is something that you need to ask. We need transparency, and I just saw that too, so I'm gonna highlight that. It basically says the GC needs to be transparent. And I agree, because, people are starting to ask, what's happening, where is the money going, and I think it's necessary for us to make sure that we are definitely letting people know where their money is going. And so let's see what the next comment says. Okay, so that's the one we just did. So this person said, why does the way we individually choose to be spiritually connected and not religiously bound have to be criticized by the church? And so this is somebody who I think believes that they're more spiritual, right? They're not really into the religion. They're not really into being religious, but they're more spiritual. One of the things they're asking is, why do we, when I tell a church person that I'm more spiritual than I'm religious, or I'm not religious at all, I'm spiritual, why is that criticized by the church? Honestly, my take is that if you have a genuine connection with God, I'm celebrating, right? I'm happy for you. I'm there with you. If there's a genuine connection with God, I'm happy, right? And I feel like the way that a lot of people can tell, especially if we're going by the Bible, right? And this is what I know, is by the way you treat other people. What's the spirit that you come into things with? When you get angry, when you disagree with people, how do you handle people in those intense moments, right? And I think that's a real indicator on how strong your connection is with God, because if you respect that everybody was created, or everybody was a wonderful creation of God, then you can't just treat God's creation any type of way. And so I think, if you have an authentic, growing, flourishing relationship with God, I'm all for it, right? I'm all for it. I think, that you shouldn't be criticized, because I know a lot of people that are in the church but don't have an authentic relationship with God, right? We have people that are, I've even said it in the last one, that are Adventists but they're not Christian, right? Or they're not followers of Christ. And so just because you're in the church does not mean that you're automatically a follower of Christ. And so I don't know why you get ridiculed. I think if anything, if somebody's really concerned, they should pray with you. They should, talk to you. They should build that relationship instead of criticizing, because no one ever grew in criticism, right? No one ever flourished in criticism. Like, people need support. People need to be encouraged. And so, I try to encourage anybody that I can. I'm not saying that I'll ever criticize, because that would be a lie, but I'm trying to make sure that I'm being less critical and more inspiring, more motivating, more encouraging to people that are around me. And I think that's through my relationship with God that's led me to think more in those terms. Great question. And so the Bible says the church doesn't appreciate, or the comment, sorry. It says the church doesn't appreciate the people that work hard and do things that no one else wants to do. Wow. And I've gotten this too. So I'm gonna be transparent, right? Sometimes people tell me, don't forget to thank these people, or don't forget to, remember to, and I say thank you a lot, but I think, there's something different about saying thank you personally, and then also saying thank you corporately, to other people, and acknowledging people, because there's a lot of hard work. I think a lot of people don't give credence to the fact that there's a lot in the background that people have to do. And so, I do want to, so I'm going to take this time to thank everybody who works for a church, who's ever done any church work behind the scenes, in the front or whatever, because you are valuable. In order to make operations run smoothly, everybody has to do their part. And I think we got to do less criticizing, more encouraging, more training, more lifting up, so that people can really flourish. I work for a boss. Shout out to Valerie Hampton. I hope that you see this. She was in Village of Promise. It was a nonprofit organization in Huntsville, Alabama. And when I tell you, this woman was one of the most encouraging women that I have ever. She was so happy, so bubbly. She held us accountable, but at the same time, you couldn't help but to grow in an encouraging environment, because it was like, once she encouraged you about something that you did that you felt like wasn't even that great, it was like, man, I don't want to mess up. I want to keep getting this feeling. And so what I learned from her is that encouragement helps people to grow. And so I hope that we're more encouraging to the people that are working hard. And so thank you for your comment. Let's see what the next one. Okay, we already did that. So we just talked about that. All right, so this person said, some pastors have good intentions, some are crooks, and some are lost and products of being brainwashed. Wow. And so this is the thought process of, some of the people that have commented. What do you think? Do you think that there's pastors that are crooks? I know it's funny how, there were a lot of pastors, and I'm not knocking anybody, so let me just say that, but there were a lot of pastors that were preaching what they call the prosperity gospel, right? Where they were just saying, basically the more money you give the church, the more blessings that are going to come down, right? And then as of recently, I think there were 2 pastors that pulled back and said, I'm sorry that I was ever preaching this gospel. After they made lots of money off of people preaching this gospel that wasn't really, the whole truth of what the Bible was saying. And so I think we got to be careful as pastors that when we do talk, when we do preach, our words have influence, our words have power to people. And a lot of people, if I'm just going to be honest, they don't read their Bibles. They rely on what the pastor or what the religious leader says. And so the things that we say are even more important, that hopefully that people will read for themselves. But we got to make sure that what we're saying is in line with the word, that we're not using the word for our own personal gain, that we're not, doing things that can damage people, because religious harm, religious trauma is real. People leave the church, they leave a relationship with God because of some of the experiences that they've had in the church. And so we got to make sure that we are, as pastors, continuing to build our own relationships with God so that we can be healthy people and safe people for our congregations. And so thank you for that comment. All right, so I kind of want to go, like I said, if you got a question or comment about religion, or, are you more spiritual? Are you more religious? Do you think religion even is necessary? Why are you not in religion anymore? Put that in the comment, because I want to really hear from you. But I kind of want to go over something real quick. So somebody might ask me, Pastor Wale, are you spiritual? Are you religious? Are you both? What are you? And so I gladly say that I am religious, right? But I also will gladly say that I'm spiritual as well. And this is the reason why. Because I think there has been a misunderstanding by believers of the Bible what religion actually is supposed to be, right? Some people say religion is man-made. Some people say, what is religion? But I'll tell you that there's a text in the Bible that actually tells us what religion is, right? And so I get excited because if we practice this type of religion, right, if we actually read what the Bible said about religion and we did it, then we wouldn't even be having these arguments that we're having right now, because the religion that the Bible talks about is not the same religion sometimes that we see played out in our churches. And so before I get to that, before I pull up that text for you, don't forget to like, subscribe, share. I've got lots of content. We're trying to answer questions. We're trying to acknowledge people's concerns about the church. And so go ahead and subscribe, like this video, share it with somebody so that we can continue to do these videos, because I want to make sure that your questions are answered. I want to make sure that that you're not, like I said, put down or demeaned because of your questions about the Bible or about religion or about Adventism. But I want to be here to answer your questions, and to make sure that your voice is heard and your concerns are heard as well. And so the scripture that changed my life, right, when it came to this religion and spirituality debate is simply this. It's taken from James chapter 1, verse 26 and 27. And I love the way that the Message Bible puts it. So listen to this. Anyone who sets himself up as religious, so anyone that wants to call themselves religious, anyone that thinks that, they are religious, right? The people in the church, by talking a good game, is self-deceived. So I want you to hear this. The Bible's talking about anybody that just says, oh yeah, I'm godly, or yeah, I'm the pastor, or yeah, I'm the elder, and all they're doing is talking, right? But their actions are not backing up what they're saying, then they're self-deceived. That's what the Bible is saying, right? This kind of religion is hot air and only hot air, right? So that's why I love this, because, the Message Bible gets straight to the point. It kind of puts it in plain terms. And it's saying, if you just sit up here and just, say I'm pastor so-and-so, or I'm reverend, I'm apostle, I'm prophet, and all you're doing is talking, but your life is not living in line with what you're saying, then you're just full of hot air, right? And so I think it's time for us to start recognizing, by reading our own Bibles, who we follow. Are they full of hot air, or are they really the real religion? And that's what's coming up. So real religion, this is real religion now, is the kind that passes muster before God the Father. So it's the guy that passes the test, that God the Father is saying, okay, this is the religion that I actually meant. This is the religion that I actually wanted. And so the religion is reach out to the homeless and the loveless in their plight. So this is religion, people, to reach out to those who are the disenfranchised, to reach out to the people that are marginalized, reach out to the people that are struggling, reach out to the people that don't have love, reach out to the people that don't have resources. This is actually what religion is supposed to be, right? It's us taking care of one another, especially the ones that are less fortunate, that have less opportunities than us. This is religion, as according to the Bible, right? And also to guard against corruption from the godless world. And so basically another version will say to remain untainted from the world. And so pure religion is this: taking care of those that are less fortunate than you, taking care of those that don't have all the privileges that you have, making sure that you're looking out for those that are around you, and also making sure at the same time that you stay connected to God so that you don't let this world change you into something that you're not. And so kind of let me give you an example on that. A lot of people have been hurt, right? A lot of people have gone through, so much hurt, whether it's in relationships. Maybe people have been cheated on. Maybe people have, been rejected, and so if you have a lot of hurt that builds up, what usually happens if you're not careful, if you're not aware enough, is that you start to build this coldness or this wall, and now you start to protect yourself, right? And in that protection, you have the capacity and the capability to harm somebody else, right? And so what the Bible is basically saying is that the religious people are staying so connected with God that they're not allowing the things that happen on the outside to change who you are, right? And I'm going to say this clearly because this is what my relationship with God has led me to. No matter how other people treat me, I'm still responsible for treating people with love and kindness and care and compassion because I am in a religious relationship with God, right? And so religion is about, once again, taking care of those that are around you, being loving, being compassionate for those that don't have the same blessings that you have, right? And then also making sure that you're staying connected so you don't let this world change you. And so this is really what religion is about. And so I agree with you, Nika, and I definitely want to be religious if this is actually what religion means, right? If this is what religion is about, then I want to be religious too, because what you see a lot of times, unfortunately, is that you see people talk about religion, right? But they're too busy trying to put themselves above other people. So instead of trying to lift people up, they're trying to use people as a stepping stool to look down on people. And so what this thing is saying is you can't be religious if you're looking down on people. You can't be religious if you're ignoring the pain, the heart, the hurt, the plight of people around you. You can't be religious if you're tone deaf. You can't be religious if you're racist. You can't be religious if you're sexist. You can't be religious if you have hate in your heart. You know what's crazy is that a lot of times I see people, whether it's on one political channel or another, I'm not going to throw any political, channels out there, but they're so angry, they're so adamant, they're so demeaning towards people that don't agree with them, towards people that don't believe the same thing as them. And I'm just wondering, what spirit of God can make you treat somebody else poorly? What spirit of God can make you put people down? What spirit of God can make you to, demean and diminish people? And so there's no way that you can be religious. There's no way that but yet these are the same people that say they're God-fearing Christians and they're fighting for, for God. And I want us to be very careful because Christianity has had a terrible history, right? When we talk about the Crusades, when we talk about slavery, when we talk about, how Christianity was used as a weapon. And so you got to make sure that your Christianity is not subjugating, it's not, oppressing, or it's not, demeaning or diminishing people, because that is not real religion, right? If we want to talk about man-made religion, that's exactly what it is. And so being religious, once again, is making sure, and I'm going to put it back up there, because I want you to write this text down, because anyone who talks about religion and doesn't follow this guideline, then they really don't know what religion is, right? Anyone who sets himself as religious by talking a good game is self-deceived. This kind of religion is hot air and only hot air. Real religion, the kind that passes muster before God the Father, is this: to reach out to the homeless and the loveless, right? The people that are hurting, the people that haven't felt love, the orphans, the foster care kids, the people in prison, the people that don't have resources, the poor people, the homeless, just the people, the people who are being oppressed by society, right? Black people who have been subjugated to a lesser people, not only from the Constitution, but even in some of the practices that we see. If you're not helping out the people that are around you, if you're not lifting people up, then you're not practicing religion, right? And if you're not staying connected to God, where you continue to allow him to transform you, right? To help you to treat people better and to not allow, the pain and the suffering that we've experienced to make us abusers. Because one of the things I've said before is that, a lot of times people who have been abused become abusers. And so this scripture is saying, stay connected to God, because I know a lot of terrible things happen in our lives, and God can heal and he will heal. But we got to make sure that we're allowing God to help us so that we don't unintentionally, right, project that pain onto others. And so that is basically the message for today. I, Pastor Wale, yes, I am religious, but my religion is based on the Word of God in James chapter 1, because I believe that's the only religion that matters in God's eyes. And so once again, this has been a great conversation. Don't forget, like I said, to like, subscribe, share. This really helps the channel. We want to continue to answer your questions. And I want you to drop in the comments right now, what do you want me to answer as a pastor? Like, what questions do you have about church? What questions do you have about religion? What questions would you want me to answer that you feel like you can't take to your pastor, or you feel like that you have been shunned for even asking, or being, some people have even told me that people will tell them that they're going to hell for asking certain questions. I want to hear those questions in the comments. And so please put those in the comments. We're going to continue to do this. I did a poll on my page, and one of the things that they wanted me to do, and I'm going to make sure that we do this in the near future, is interview people that have left the church and just, kind of talk to them about why they left the church and where they are right now. So look out for that type of content in the future. But if you want me to make some other content, go ahead and put that in the description below. And last but not least, this equipment is expensive. I'm a pastor. We don't make that much money in the Adventist church. So if you feel so inclined, and I'm not forcing, I want to make this clear. This is only if you are willing and you like the content and you want to give. My Cash App is right there. It'll be much appreciated, so that we can just continue to build and that we can continue to grow and give you the content that you would like. And so once again, my name is Pastor Wale Ade, and I just want to thank you so much for joining us on this stream. We hope to see you next time. God bless and have a good night.